Your cat may seem full of odd, random habits that people usually dismiss as just cat things, but in reality, almost every action carries a hidden message. For decades, scientists and animal behaviorists have studied feline psychology and uncovered surprising explanations behind these everyday behaviors. What looks strange on the surface is often deeply rooted in instinct, evolution, and emotional communication. Let's start with one of the most familiar and puzzling behaviors, when a cat presses its paws into you rhythmically, almost like kneading dough. This action actually traces back to early kittenhood, when newborn kittens press against their mother's belly to stimulate milk flow. When an adult cat kneads you, it is mentally returning to that same state of comfort, safety, and warmth. It is a sign that your cat feels completely secure and emotionally at ease in your presence. In fact, this behavior triggers the release of endorphins in the cat's brain, creating a sense of calm and pleasure. The extension of claws during kneading is not intentional. It's simply part of the reflex. The more intensely your cat kneads, the more content it likely feels in that moment. Some cats even drool while doing this, which is another leftover trait from kittenhood. When your cat kneads you, it is essentially seeing you as a source of protection and care, much like a mother figure, and interrupting this moment can break a rare state of deep trust. Moving on to another behavior that often confuses or even disturbs owners, some cats bring home dead animals like mice or birds and place them at your feet. While this may seem unpleasant, it is actually a sign of care. Your cat may view you as an inexperienced hunter who cannot provide for itself, since it has never seen you catch prey. In response, it takes on the role of a teacher. At first, it may bring completely dead prey, which represents the most basic lesson. In some cases, it might even bring partially alive prey later on, encouraging you to practice hunting skills. This mirrors how mother cats teach their kittens in the wild. If you react negatively, the cat may interpret it as a lack of ability rather than rejection. From its perspective is put effort into hunting and delivering food, expecting some form of acknowledgement. This behavior is not meant to frighten or punish you. It is a genuine attempt to care for you and include you in its world. Another common behavior is when cats deliberately push objects off tables or shelves. Although it may seem like mischief, it is often driven by curiosity and instinct. Cats explore the world primarily through their paws, and knocking objects over allows them to observe movement, sound, and reaction. In the wild, this type of testing helps determine whether something is alive or worth pursuing. Additionally, cats quickly learn that dropping objects gets your attention, especially if you have been ignoring them. Over time, this becomes a reliable strategy to provoke interaction. Some cats may also be attempting to clear space, preferring a clean surface where they can rest or observe their surroundings comfortably. When a cat meows insistently at a closed door, it is not necessarily because it wants to enter the room, but because the barrier disrupts its sense of control. Cats are territorial by nature and feel the need to monitor and access their entire environment. A closed door creates uncertainty as it blocks visibility and movement. The cat may simply want to inspect the area and confirm that everything is normal before losing interest again. This behavior reflects an instinctive need to maintain awareness of its surroundings rather than a desire to annoy you. Another interesting habit is when a cat tries to bury its food by scratching around the bowl after eating. This action is rooted in survival instincts from the wild, where leftover food would be hidden to avoid attracting predators or competitors. Even though domestic cats live in safe environments, the instinct remains deeply embedded. In some cases, this behavior may also indicate that the cat dislikes the food and is attempting to hide it. When a cat suddenly bursts into frantic running, jumping, and erratic movement around the house, it is experiencing what many call the zoomies. This sudden surge of energy reflects the natural hunting pattern of cats, which involves short bursts of intense activity followed by long periods of rest. Domestic cats often accumulate energy throughout the day without a proper outlet, leading to these explosive episodes. Afterward, they typically calm down quickly and may fall asleep almost immediately. When your cat sits directly on your book, keyboard, or anything else you are focusing on, It is attempting to redirect your attention. From the cat's perspective, whatever you are looking at has become more important than it, and it responds by placing itself between you and that object. This is not jealousy in a human sense, but rather a demand for engagement and recognition. Cats also show a strong preference for drinking running water, such as from a tap instead of a still bowl. This behavior comes from an instinct to avoid stagnant water, which could be unsafe in the wild. Flowing water is perceived as fresher and more reliable. Additionally, when cats rub against your legs or furniture, they are marking their territory using scent glands located around their face. This action leaves behind pheromones that signal ownership and familiarity, effectively claiming both objects and people as part of their environment. One behavior that often surprises people is when a cat raises its tail and presents its rear to you. In feline communication, this is actually a sign of trust and respect. It indicates that the cat feels safe enough to expose a vulnerable part of its body. Chewing on plastic or wires, on the other hand, can be linked to hunting instincts, stress, or even dietary deficiencies, as the texture or smell may trigger certain responses. When a cat vocalizes loudly at night, particularly in the early morning hours, it is often following its natural activity cycle, as cats are most active during dawn and dusk. Sitting in small boxes or confined spaces provides a sense of security, as enclosed areas mimic safe shelters in the wild. When a cat appears to stare at nothing, it may actually be detecting subtle movements, sounds, or stimuli beyond human perception, such as insects or high-frequency noises. Licking behavior is another form of social bonding, as cats groom those they consider part of their group, reinforcing a sense of connection. Finally, when a cat suddenly leaps out from hiding and attacks your legs, it is engaging in a playful version of hunting. The movement of your body triggers an instinctive response, and the cat treats the situation as practice for real shikar. This behavior is not aggressive, but rather an expression of natural predatory instincts that have not disappeared despite domestication. Beyond these familiar behaviors, there are even more subtle and fascinating actions that cats use to communicate, and many of them are so quiet that they are easy to misunderstand. One of the most overlooked is the slow blink. When a cat looks at you and slowly closes its eyes before opening them again, it is not sleepy or uninterested. This is often described as a cat smile, a signal of trust and emotional safety. In the animal world, closing your eyes in front of another creature is risky, so when a cat does this, it is showing that it feels completely secure around you. If you slowly blink back, many cats will respond in the same way, reinforcing a silent bond that doesn't require touch or sound. Another behavior that often confuses people is when a cat suddenly bites during petting, even when everything seemed calm just moments before. This is not always aggression. In many cases, it is what experts call overstimulation. Cats have a limit to how much physical contact they can tolerate, and once that threshold is crossed, their nervous system reacts quickly. The signals usually appear before the bite happens, but they are subtle: a flicking tail, ears turning slightly sideways, muscles becoming tense. If these signs are missed, the cat may use a quick bite as a way to say, "That's enough." It is not a betrayal of affection, but a boundary being enforced in the only language the cat has. There is also the curious case of cats following you everywhere, even into places like the bathroom. This behavior is often rooted in attachment and curiosity. Cats are both independent and social, and when they form a bond with someone, they like to keep track of their movements. From their perspective, you are part of their environment, and your actions are worth monitoring. Closed spaces like bathrooms also trap sounds and smells, making them especially interesting to a cat's sensitive senses. In some cases, your cat may simply want to be near you because your presence provides comfort and predictability. Another subtle but meaningful behavior is when a cat sleeps on or near you. Sleep is a vulnerable state, and animals instinctively choose safe places where they feel protected. By sleeping next to you, your cat is expressing trust at a very deep level. It may also be drawn to your body heat and your familiar scent, both of which create a sense of stability. Tail movements are another important form of communication that people often misinterpret. Unlike dogs, a wagging tail in cats does not usually mean happiness. A slow, gentle movement can indicate focus or mild curiosity, while a fast, whipping motion often signals irritation or agitation. A puffed-up tail, on the other hand, is a clear sign of fear, making the cat appear larger to potential threats. Understanding these small differences can completely change how you read your cat's mood. Some cats also display a behavior where they chatter or make clicking sounds when watching birds through a window. This unusual vocalization is believed to be linked to hunting instincts, possibly mimicking the killing bite or expressing frustration at being unable to reach prey. It is a glimpse into the cat's natural predatory wiring, still very much active beneath its calm domestic exterior. You may also notice your cat choosing very specific places to rest, sometimes switching spots throughout the day. This is not random. Cats carefully select locations based on temperature, safety, and vantage point. A high perch allows them to observe without being disturbed, while a hidden corner offers protection and quiet. These choices reflect an ongoing balance between curiosity and caution. Even the way a cat greets you when you come home carries meaning. Some cats will vocalize, others will rub against your legs, and some may simply sit nearby and watch. Each of these is a variation of recognition and acknowledgement. When your cat rubs against you after you return, it is not only greeting you but also resetting your scent, covering unfamiliar smells with its own to restore a sense of normalcy. There are also moments when a cat seems to ignore you completely, which can feel confusing or even hurtful. However, this behavior is not a sign of dislike. Cats value autonomy, and their social structure is different from that of humans or dogs. Choosing not to engage at a certain moment often simply means the cat feels secure enough not to seek reassurance. In a way, this independence is itself a sign of trust. Finally, one of the most surprising behaviors is when a cat suddenly jumps or reacts to something invisible to you. While it may seem mysterious, this usually comes down to heightened senses. Cats can detect sounds at frequencies far beyond human hearing and notice tiny movements that we would never perceive. What appears to be nothing may actually be a small insect, a distant noise, or even vibrations in the environment. When you begin to look at these behaviors as forms of communication rather than randomness, a different picture starts to emerge. Your cat is constantly expressing its needs, emotions, and instincts through a quiet but complex language. The key is not to focus on a single action in isolation, but to observe the context, the body language, and the pattern over time. Once you do, the mystery begins to fade, and in its place, you start to see something much deeper. A relationship built not on words, but on understanding.